Good morning and welcome to the Treehouse. This is Kag with a View from Above tarot reading for Tuesday, August 27th. It is the last day of Mercury retrograde. Hallelujah. So Mercury goes direct tomorrow, August 28th. So many of the astrologers say that the shadow of Mercury retrograde hangs around for a little bit of time after it actually goes direct. So the worst of it is over, but that doesn't mean we won't have a few clinkers that happen in these first days after Mercury goes direct. You'll see that I have a new deck, an additional deck, and this is, let me back up. This deck that I have called the Queen of Swords, or the Queen of Pentacles deck, I've also called it the Radiant Wise deck, and that isn't its whole name. Its full name is the Radiant Wise Spirit deck, and that is the deck that I probably used most often. This one is the Centennial deck, which we call the Queen of Swords deck because the voice of this deck tends to be a little sharp. This is the new deck, and this is actually called the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. So these are also drawn by Pamela Smith Coleman, but you can see that there's a pretty much difference in the coloring of these cards, and I like that just for the sake of a different color palette. However, I have noticed as I've worked with these is that some of the symbols are either missing or a little bit different. So this deck will probably be used most often as clarifiers, additional decks if we need a second deck opinion. But that is technically the Radiant deck. And this one that we use most often is the Radiant Wise. So this morning we're going to do what would be helpful for you to know, what would be helpful for you to think, and when I say you, I mean me too, and what would be helpful for us to do on this Tuesday morning. Sometimes decks need to be replaced because they do wear out. This one is a little sticky, and so its replacement is en route. And I have just found that this continues to be my favorite deck for a number of reasons. So I did the deep shuffle before we started this reading, and now we have cut, and we are ready to lay out the what do you need to know, what do I need to know, what do you need to know, what do we need to know, what would be helpful for us to think, and last, what would be helpful for us to do. And the Merriweather card. So we're just going to move this one off just a little bit. Okay, what would be helpful for us to know today? The Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is the happily ever after card, or in my vocabulary, reasonably happily ever after card. This is the sum total of the journey through the cups, which is emotion. And the idea is that you have worked through all of those emotions to get to this place of health and of satisfaction, of gratitude. We've got the couple here pretty happy, and their little people dancing around beside them. It is a stage card, and so you may be any one of those roles that are being displayed on the stage, but it is a happy card. It is the only rainbow card. And they don't actually have their hands on those cups. It is in the sky. It has been a dream that is fulfilled. It is really a pretty happy card. So that is what we are all being told to know today. Things are good. Things are okay. So what would be helpful to think today? Two of Swords is the minor arcana version of the High Priestess. And we've seen her in the last couple of days, and that is about knowing something inside, deep wisdom, intuition. And what's interesting about this card, also a stage card, is that she is able to defend herself with those swords. She's also able to be to offer an offense if she needs to. She has presumably put that blindfold over her eyes herself so that she can be not distracted by visual things, but able to hear those waters of emotion and that ocean behind her. It also looks like we are going into into a full moon. That would be the phase that we're looking at. It is a waxing crescent, and it's also somewhat symbolic of an eclipse. And the astrologers out there are starting to talk about eclipse season, and so again, I direct you out to the astrologers about that. But there are some specific energies that happen during eclipse season. She is sitting on this stool, but she is prepared to get up and go forward. Her feet are in a position to be able to rise up and go. So this is what our thinking is to be about, is what is that deep knowing that you are sort of pulling up out of your toes, if you will, and to maybe just take a moment to close your eyes and listen to whatever that deep thought is, what it is you are feeling, and what it is that you know from your own wisdom. The Do card today is a card of waiting for messages to come in, waiting for wands that you have launched, ideas, projects that you have launched that have not landed yet. And I just want to point out that we've got some water down here. I also want to say that those wands are lined up. This is an organized effort, and you are either waiting for your own parts or some additional parts from other places to come in. It is a card of waiting, just a little longer before those wands land. So let's go back to our Know card. Know what happiness is that we are talking about. And the Seven of Cups is the card of either distraction or the card of having a lot of ideas about what you want to do next. And maybe having come to this place of an ending, it's time to start thinking about, dreaming about what will be the next thing that you want to do. And it looks like there are a number of different things that could be pursued at this point. It is also a card of dreaming. What would be fun to do next? What would be good for your emotional self to go forward with? What is the project at hand? And you have been, we have been granted the Ace of Wands, which is that moment we go, oh, I'm inspired to do this. And so this is really positive energy for trying to select what needs to happen next now that you we have met with the end of that first cycle. That is really a promising card. The aces are all gifts from the holy. Here's an idea. And maybe this is how do we feel about using this idea going forward. So if you haven't had that energy yet, it's coming. It's coming. Inspiration, we never know where it's going to be coming from. And it may be as a result of kind of sifting through these ideas of what to do next, that inspiration strikes and you go, hey, that would be great. As we move into, again, what it is we're going to be thinking about, twos tend to be a decision. And so maybe it is that inner knowing about what this is about, to know what it is you want to go and do next. Swords are thoughts and words. So what are our thoughts and words here? The Three of Swords is the heart with the three swords coming through. And a lot of times the Two of Swords, because they are at an angle, are talking about a different way of looking at truth, perhaps, rather than the straight up and down of the Ace. We're talking about, here is the truth, but here is an idea, a way of looking at logic or clarity around maybe what this is. So as we look at that Two of Swords, what we are thinking about, we've got another ace, and that is a significant ace. When we look at, and we are at the end of the cups here, now we have two aces, and the ace is repeated over here in the Page of Pentacles. Reminder that pentacles are your resources, not necessarily just money. But he is holding that ace. The Page of Pentacles has a tendency to be a student. This is a new idea, and how appropriate for the beginning of the school year, right? To be thinking about what this new project is going to be about. And we start at school all the time. I mean, we're always learning. Case in point is discovering that this was not the Radiant deck, right? It's the Radiant Wise Spirit deck, and this is the Radiant deck. We're always learning. We always have the capacity to learn something new. So the page looks like he is really focused in on this new project. And how lovely. You've got the more masculine energies of the inspiration and the feminine energies of being able to go forth with that idea. Or if we want to go back to, this is the active ideas, and this is the passive ideas of how are we going to do that. And the student is here to do that, and we've got those two swords of deep thinking about it. So the doing. Again, we are talking about a little bit of patience while we wait for those wands to land. And as we think about that, we've got the Empress. And we have the Three of Cups. So interesting to me at this point, because the Empress is the 3 card. She is the card of expansion, and she is the Earth Mother who brings things together, gives life. She doesn't necessarily birth forth babies. She can be birthing forth empires, ideas, new projects. And we also have a celebration going on here with the Three of Cups. This is also at that expansive energy, being also a 3. But this is the joy of celebrating with others. And while school hasn't maybe started just yet, waiting for that to begin, this is a good time to really celebrate all the successes and the changes that have happened over the summer, if we want to think about this with a school metaphor. But falls always feel like a beginning time for me, and I think that's because as we go through school, right, the end of the summer has that sort of nostalgic feel for we have to get the school books out and the school clothes out, and we have to kind of get ready to get back to work after summer. And so this feels to me like the celebratory energy and the anticipation of going back to work, back to school, back to a more systematic and I would say rigid is kind of a harsh word, but a more organized way of living our life. So let's look at Merriweather, and we have got the Page of Cups. And if you'll recall, when I turned these cards over, the Page of Cups, I believe, was at the bottom. And I did shuffle again, but he's still there. And so I don't think anything really happens by accident with the cards. I think this is just a reminder that as there is this mixed feeling of happiness and sadness, because we are at the end of any cycle, we've got a little sadness that we have to integrate, that the surprises are coming. We can't really know what's going to happen in the future for sure, but that looks like a happy thing to me. I mean, how often do you see a fish jump out of a cup? So let's look at the energies across the board, and we've got wands, and we have it in 2 places, and we've got cups in 1, 2, 3, 4 places. We've got 1 sword here, actually 2 swords, but 1 card of swords, and we have 2 cards of pentacles and 1 major arcana. So this is a reading of lots of emotion. And truly, when we come to the end of something, there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of integration that needs to happen in order to move into the next place. And as I talk about grief, any change is going to bring some grief. Even the happiest of things is going to bring the conclusion of something else. And so integrating all of what has happened and moving forward is really the message of the day. So let's do integration and rejoice in what we have been doing of late and move forward into what is yet to be as the summer winds down and the fall comes into being. And when I'm talking about fall in this instance, I'm not talking about the Celtic seasons. I'm talking about the Western seasons as we do, because while it is Celtic fall, it is still summer in the Western world. So that's what I have for you here at the Treehouse this morning. The view from above for August 27th. If this reading resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember that these cards might not be resonate with you. Hopefully 1 or 2 does. But if the reading did resonate, take what is helpful to you and leave the rest. So that's what I have for you. I wish you a happy day. And I hope you will come back again tomorrow for another view from above. Blessings.